Hello everyone, this is Ange. This is a continuation of my personal top 100 visual novel character list that's as spoiler free as possible. This video will be covering the top 10, so I hope you're excited for that. Let's get right into it. Number 10 is Miyako Shina from Maji to Watashi ni Koi Shinasai. She is one of the childhood friends of the Kazuma family and very much in love with Yamato. I loved Miyako right from the first scene of her waking up Yamato lying on top of him and doing her standard daily confession. Her obsession was basically a parody of a creepy stalker girl, except since she was a childhood friend, it was oddly heartwarming. And in typical Majiko style, all her jokes constantly obsessing over Yamato and professing her love in an over-the-top way was written very hilariously. Amazingly, she gets even better in her route, where her obsession gets toned down a lot to become more healthy, and it becomes a legit great relationship with some interesting melodrama. Number 9 is Ayumi Houjou from Tsujidou-san no Jun'ai Road. She's the class rep of the MC's class with a kind of weird motherly vibe to her. Ayumi is easily my favorite side character without a route in visual novels. She just has all the personality traits I like, and that includes her design with her swirly glasses complementing her odd personality. I also really liked her friendship with Ai and how she was a big part of defrosting her and even helping her with romance stuff in her own way. I'm sad she never got a route, even in any fan disc, because she's just a generally comfy and pretty amusing character to be around. Number 8 is Forney from Symphonic Rain. She's a self-proclaimed fairy of music that only Chris can see and helps him with Fortell and his life. Forney has a fun personality, and it's kinda cool to see her as like a little guardian angel for Chris, since only he can see her, and she helps him out a bunch. Talking about why I really like her is spoilery, but I'll just say I just really admire her devotion. Number 7 is Lena Liechtenauer from Senren, Banka. She's a foreigner from Scandinavia who has an interest in Japan due to a relative. She's a very lively and kind-hearted girl, and is a constant source of nice positive energy to everyone around her. But more importantly, her humor is extremely hilarious. I especially love her use of English and her very slight misuses of Japanese that create awkwardly incorrect sentences. She also has a ton of hilariously innocent misunderstandings, especially related to romance and sexual stuff. And to top it all off, I actually really like her role in her route. She herself didn't develop much, but I liked her role in working out the plot with her positive personality. Number 6 is Hinami Yamada from A Sky Full of Stars. She's the only other heroine who eventually attends the main character's school. Hinami is very eccentric and weird, and I love it. She just comes out with a lot of strange ideas and daydreams around astronomy, and the way she talks is just very unusual, but kind of makes sense if you read more into how she talks. But at the same time, she's definitely a very kind and helpful girl, and it made scenes throughout her fandisc route and various other routes very nice to watch. Overall, she's just very entertaining whenever she's on screen, and surprisingly really comfy once you get to know her. Number 5 is Shizuru Nakatsu from Rewrite. She's a reserved kohai that loves some saori or mackerel pike. Similar to Asuho, she has a very dairy personality towards the protagonist, but it's a lot more subdued. She's a very quiet girl, so a lot of her communication is through short sentences and facial expressions. A lot of her thought bubbles and the way characters like Kotaro interpret what she's trying to say end up being really funny and cute scenes. Hanging out with her just seems very comfy, and even in the routes she gets some pretty surprisingly cool scenes. Number 4 is Shiina Kisu from Sankaku Ren'ai Love Triangle Trouble. She's the hyperactive eroge nerd, very openly in love with the protagonist. This girl's the pinnacle of hilarity and relatability. A lot of her dialogue is just making lots of comparisons to things she knows and likes from erotic visual novels. A lot of the ridiculous and unexpected jokes she made me crack up consistently throughout the whole visual novel. But I also like some of the deeper moments where she showed that she just wanted to have friends, and the actual romance in her route was pretty fun to me. Number 3 is Naruko Nakizaki from Bokuten, Why I Became an Angel. She's a childhood friend of the protagonist. I think Naruko is like the perfect mix of a tomboy and your typical comfy childhood friend. She's not afraid to bluntly speak her mind about things, but she also likes to help others and have that comfy friendly vibe, and even cooks for the protagonist every morning and everything. I really like Naruko in her route though. She goes through some really good development and some moments that made me really respect her devotion. Number 2 is Kotori Kambe from Rewrite. She's a childhood friend of the protagonist. Kotori is one of those few characters where I saw her design before I read the visual novel and just had a feeling I'd like her a lot. I love her personality in the common route. She just has a great mix of the comfy childhood friend that's just fun to hang out with, along with some weird, hilarious humor. Between her English, her funny imagination, and odd way of describing things, she was just a consistent source of laughs for me. When you get into her route, well, I can't go into too much spoilers, but she's a lot deeper than you'd expect, and learning more about her is quite the ride. I've also had the privilege of reading her Harvest Festa route, which is actually a continuation of her route in the original. Her Fantasy route might legit be the best thing I've ever read in my life. Number 1 is Mashirosukino from Making Lovers. She's a woman the protagonist first meets at a seafood restaurant and helps her out when she makes a mistake. I think it's safe to say Mashiro pretty much fits almost all the criteria I like in a love interest. She's very weird and very funny. A lot of her humor is a mix of English, nerdy humor, reactions, and she's just really unpredictable in what she says, but it's almost always amusing and it's great. She's surprisingly assertive in terms of the romantic stuff and is good at cooking certain dishes. She is openly dare and teasy to you, but isn't always the best with being honest through her words. She's not really the deepest character at all, with only a few insecurities pointed out here and there, but it's enough to make her still feel realistic enough. This girl's just a hell of a time and I love it. Never a dull moment. And that is it for my list of my top 100 favorite visual novel characters. Feel free to leave a comment below on what you think of the characters on my top 10, or even my whole top 100 if you want, and my opinion on them. If you guys have any suggestions for any other non-visual novel monthly recap video series to do, I'd love to hear any suggestions because I'm down to do more of them. See you all in the next video.